Paladin's newest champion has just been fully revealed as Admiral Dredge, coming in patch 1.6 called Dark Tides, and the first pirate and undead champion to hit the realm. First off, what is Dredge's backstory and lore? Dredge is a pirate lord to be feared, launching his raids from their base in Marauder's Port, den for scurvy dogs and also worshippers of the Abyssal Kraken. Dredge's eyes were set on the Dragon Gauntlet, a powerful artifact that can summon a dragon familiar, which the Paladins were escorting away from the Dragon Warden's island they'd won from the Magistrate. Dredge ambushed the Paladins and claimed the gauntlet for himself. Dredge attempted to call forth the power of a dragon. He was found unworthy. The dragon destroyed Dredge's ship, sinking it to the dark depths of the ocean. However, it was not his end. The Abyssal Kraken chose Dredge as its champion, raising him from the dead and launching his crew to once again bring terror and chaos to the realm. Looks-wise, Dredge is dressed as a pirate captain through and through, wielding a Kraken Blade launcher imbued with abyssal power. Their voice also matches his undead piratey nature, and his posture showing he is the king among pirates. Admiral D. Dredge. Moving on to his statistics, his main weapon and attack is the Cursed Howitzer. It's a grenade launcher that looks very piratey, firing almost barrel explosives, with a squid on top which helps him reload and encourages him to take out the enemies of the abyss. So each explosive deals 800 damage every 0.7 seconds, and when the projectile hits the ground, it will bounce up to about player height and then will explode, which is slightly different to normal grenade launchers in games. There is bounce off walls and obstacles, but when it hits the ground, it will just sort of leap up into the air, then explode. It also has an alternate fire in that when you reload, it throws out a small abyssal ball, dealing 1000 damage if it hits a player. Moving on to their alternate fire, this is Broadside. What it does is it fires 3 projectiles out from their grenade launcher using up the ammo, and each of these deal 950 damage. And this activates after a 2-second fuse where the projectiles float into the air and then will detonate after the time is met. You can spread these projectiles apart and bounce them so you have more control than, say, Willow's Seedling, but has similar effects. His first ability is Harpoon. This hurls a piercing spectral abyssal harpoon at enemies, and each enemy hit will take 800 damage and are slowed by 50% for 2 seconds. Being that it pierces enemies, it will also apply the slow to each enemy it hits alongside the damage. His second ability is Shortcut. This is Dredge's escape, and it makes an abyssal tear in reality, or in layman's terms, drops down a teleporter, and once you place a second teleporter and go through it, you'll be teleported to the first. There is a slight delay before the teleporter is placed, but you're locked out of doing anything as you teleport to the first tear. There is also a trail showing where you have travelled to the last teleporter. Finally, the Big Bada Boom, the ultimate. Dredge's ultimate is Kraken. You create a rift and after 2 seconds, abyssal tentacles rip through reality, dealing 4000 damage in an area. The deployment of the ultimate can be placed on any collision spot, ceiling, wall, floor, etc., and is a large sphere AoE, area of effect. It also has no range limitations. Scary indeed. But then moving on to his talent cards, where we're going to be getting the specializations. The first is Abyss Spike. This changes Harpoon so it now lodges into walls and obstacles and will become active within 2 seconds and will explode on nearby enemies. It will also still pass through enemies and do damage. I think this is actually a old ability that was on Charlene. Charlene was originally going to have on their Impaler Arrow a pillar that sort of blocked off enemies, but I think maybe this is the same system here, but with something that's explosive, so like a mine. Next up, Hurl changes your Harpoon so it no longer has a cooldown at all, but no longer slows enemies. Meaning both you can have the option to use your AoE Howitzer for large area damage, but also have a more accurate Harpoon weapon to perhaps finish off enemies that are trying to escape. Next up is Freebooter, and this changes the game completely. Allies may also pass through your shortcut now, and normally Dredge will consume his portal when he goes through it, though allies do not activate this, so you can have your whole team go through it, and then finally you go through it, and then the portal will close that you originally put down. Though there is an internal cooldown for allies, so they can't instantly teleport in and out and around, and there's still an activation time once you place it down, although players could potentially troll allies by dropping them into 3 enemies or something like that. Similarly, the Inara can block you off or do something silly. We'll just have to see on this one. Next up is Scuttle. Your reload projectile now explodes in an area of effect, so the reload is more effective and no longer has to hit the player directly. As always, here are some of my thoughts on the champion, whether they'll be overpowered or not, and what's coming forward. So I think it's a good thing that another Blast champion is coming forward. and will mean a lot in terms of the meta in banning and picking in rank mode, as there were 3 main blast damage champions as in damage class to pick from at the moment and ban, and it was easy to have Drogus and Bomb King be banned or something along those lines, and you would have one team with a Willow, so they pretty much had a capitalization on the blast damage. Now there is another option for a blast damage on each team, and it will be more niche on which one you want for a map, etc. and things like that. Now moving on to the champion itself, Dredge's broadside may be a little overpowered on release. With 3 lots of 950 damage, it will kill most non-frontline champions that are caught inside it. Also, putting this together with Harpoon Slow will make the main attacks and broadside easier to confirm damage, as players will find it hard to get away from them. And like Sky, this ultimate is quite similar in its sort of damage and what it does, although Harpoon Slow will again make it easier for you to get the ultimate damage off if you're hitting enemies and slowing them in the AoE, so they just can't get away. With the teleporter itself, it allows you to escape vast distances at a whim, so you can have a very aggressive Dredge that can get away deep in enemies' backlines at very little cost. So we may see almost very flanky Dredges sort of fitting into the Cassie role perhaps, and acting a bit like the Talus, getting into people's faces and just hopping out of there. However, the Freebooter talent card itself completely changes the way you play the game as a team especially, and it sort of takes a reliance away from flankers and mobile champions to get into enemies' faces and chase around. You could perhaps take much less mobile champions for your lineup and still have a lot of potential to get around the map. Plus, the big thing is really bringing your team as a Dredge back into the fight from the spawn could have a massive effect. Not only that, but allowing all of your champions to have that option to escape from a fight, from just that select point where you drop down the teleporter, would mean it'd give every champion in your whole team pretty much an extra escape. On top of that, this is a champion that deals a lot of damage themselves, and personally I think this could be too many things going on for one champion, although as always we have to sit in the actual game to make a judgment there. Focusing on the Her legendary, it too offers Dredge the opportunity to overcome their innate limit of being unable to confirm damage to finish off enemies as easily as hitscan champions or fast projectile champions like Charlene and Cassie, so again, a lot going for him here. Although, like Koga's Claw legendary, it may not be as good in-game as on paper it seems, and does have a lower overall DPS than your main attack, similar to Koga's Claws really. All in all, I think this champion may be a little too powerful on release, and they have so much going for them again. There's so much going on in their kit, although I love their design, I love the lore going on in the background, and generally their kit is very interesting. And we've kind of got a non-humanoid character here as a sort of humanoid undead. As always, be sure to let me know your thoughts on Admiral Dredge. Are you happy to have our first undead champion and a pirate? Do you think they'll be OP, balanced, or even underpowered? Drop that in the comments section below. As always, thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more of my content, and hit that notification bell icon to always be the first to see my videos. Until next time folks, Joshino.